This was a really nice day, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What did you guys get in the winter village?
I bought 2 sweaters.
Ooh.
Spoiled.
I got a pair of gloves, but now I wish I got a pair of socks because my feet are freezing. My feet are freezing.
You guys, do you remember last time we sat like this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
It was Halloween, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we were telling each other super scary stories.
Yes, I'm still having nightmares. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
The glue man.
I was thinking maybe we could tell each other cozy stories now to get into the holiday spirit.
Ooh.
What do you think?
That is such a good idea.
Yay!
Do you have one?
I have one that is pretty cozy, if I may say so. Many years ago, there lived a woman with 5 children. She was known for the red ribbon in her hair. It was once shiny and new, but years of use had left it dull and fraying. The family didn't have a lot of money, so the woman had to get creative with ways of decorating the home with the winter spirit. As the first frost covered the ground and nature slipped into a wintry slumber, the woman turned to her pantry to look for decoration. Staring back at her was a bundle of straw from the final harvest of the year. She took the straw and the red ribbon from her hair and crafted it into a little Yule goat. Each night, one of her children would whisper in the little goat's ear of their dreams and desires. Once the youngest child had told their wish, they awoke the next day to their wishes coming true.
What?
Yes, a toasty fire crackling away, warming their cozy cottage, a pantry full of food, dark bread, winter berries and smoked fish, and a blanket of snow covering the landscape. The best gift of all was for the mother, a shiny red ribbon waiting for her next to the magical little Yule goat.
Oh.
If I was the mother, to be honest, I'd be like, you gave me a string! I am dying here with my 5 children and you gave me a string!
Why didn't they wish for more Yule goats?
Anyone else got a story?
I have a story.
Ooh. Oh, tell us.
There was a girl named Martha, and she was always afraid of the singing ice. Every winter, when the Valedale Lake would freeze over, it would create an eerie tune as the water expanded into ice. Deep rumbles within its depths, sharp cracks breaking like a whip on the surface. The otherworldly sounds would carry down to the wooded village of Valedale, waking her from even the deepest of slumbers. The noises would leave Martha trembling under her covers, waiting for the break of dawn when the frozen phantom of the lake didn't call out to her. One night, the ice lake was singing louder than ever before. Martha tossed and turned in her bed, but she could not get to sleep. So she left her house in the dead of night, ready to face her fear. She hiked up the mountain, her breath rising in steamy clouds, the world around her covered in frost, as if encased in icy glass. Once she reached the ice lake, a thin crack formed on the top of the ice and began racing towards her as if a real frozen phantom was coming to get her. Martha flinched, bracing for impact, but nothing came. She opened her eyes and looked across the lake, and what she saw was incredible. The deep blue surface was covered in hundreds of hairline cracks sprawled out like veins. For a moment, everything was still. There was a rustle in the bushes, and a wild horse stepped out from the shadows. It wasn't a regular horse. It was dappled with pale spots on its tawny coat, and moved delicately and cautiously, like a fawn. I was not expecting that. Martha watched the magic horse, and the horse looked back at her. The frozen lake rumbled and cracked beside them like an icy blue heart. And in that moment, Martha was no longer afraid of the singing ice.
Aww. Your stories were beautiful. I love them. I just don't know how I'm supposed to top this. But I have a story if you want to hear it.
Yes, please share.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
'Twas the coldest night of winter. Ms. Drake glared out of her GED office, looking down on the town of Jorvegian.
Don't like her.
On her desk were blueprints for high-rise buildings called the New Jorvegian.
Oh no.
What's wrong with the old jawline?
There was a knock on the door. Can I get a knock? Thank you. Ivan Drake barged in. He came bearing gifts. a little kitten for his beloved sister. Miss Drake screamed in terror and slammed the door shut on him. How dare he disturb her? She left her office soon after, walking the freezing streets of the town alone. She reached the door to her house, and in the reflection of the brass knocker, she could see a ghostly white figure standing behind her. She spun around, and there stood Marley Summers, covered in potato starch. The farmer brought Miss Drake a warning. If she continued her plans to rebuild Jarlaheim, she would cause much sadness in Jorvik. But most of all, she would turn into a very bitter person. If she didn't heed his warning, Marley said, then she would be visited by 3 souls of past, present, and future that would surely change her mind. Bah! Haybug! Miss Drake slammed the door in Marley's face and went to bed. That night, Miss Drake was visited by a mischievous spirit. She awoke to a knock on the door, and when she went downstairs to answer it, Madison stood there. She was dancing and twirling, her frilly pink skirt spinning around. Madison took off her headphones and began to sing loudly. Joy to Jorvik, the Yule goats have come. They're causing a lot of chaos. The people are chasing them down into the snowy portals round, and Aideen and horses and nature sing. Madison then grabbed Miss Drake's hand and promising to take her on a time-traveling adventure into the past. Miss Drake pulled away and slammed the door in Madison's face. She hated people with vivid imagination. Miss Drake tried to sleep, but Madison's energetic attitude had left her wide awake, so she went for a walk to clear her mind. She didn't get very far until she was disturbed by the booming voice of Mr. Kemble. He called Miss Drake over and told her she'll get promoted if she successfully rebuilds Jarlaheim. Miss Drake was thrilled at the chance for more power, but Mr. Kemble droned on, and she began to feel sleepy. So she snuck away and headed home, leaving Mr. Kemble talking to himself. A shadowy figure was waiting for Miss Drake by her house. The figure stepped into the light, and the gaunt face of Mr. Sands was illuminated.
Oh, you don't want him to visit you.
No, I don't want him to know where I live.
No.
He warned her not to fall into the same traps of greed as he did, or else she'll end up a tormented soul, just like him. Miss Drake screamed, rushing inside the house and slamming the door shut. She realized then that Marley Summers' prophecy was true. She was visited by 3 very different people, and each one made her think about who she was and the way she treats others.
To be fair, I would also scream and slam the door behind me if Mr. Sands came over.
When Miss Drake awoke from an unrested slumber in the frosty morning, the first thing she did was head to her office and tear up the blueprints to rebuild Jarlaheim. She was even tempted to run around the streets of Jarlaheim announcing her love for the town and its people, but her cold heart hadn't warmed up enough just yet.
That's so cute! Love that for her.
We love a character that works with themselves.
Yes.
And realizes their faults.
Can you sing us the song again?
Joy to Jorvik, the Yule goats have come. They're causing a lot of chaos. The people are chasing them down into the snowy portals round, and Aideen and horses and nature sing. And Aideen and horses and nature sing. Hey!
Happy holidays, you guys.
Happy holidays!
Happy holidays.
Oh, and Happy New Year.
Yes.
Oh, Happy New Year. I hope your 2020 is as amazing as your 2019.